Wanda, and one of the fingers or whatever, we're involved. Several of us here are involved with the Just Poets organization, which I think is a really good organization, and they have a beautiful new anthology. So I have some copies for sale there, or of course we're always looking for people to join. Then they get free copies. All right, so I'm going to, and anyway, thank you, Nick. That was terrific. Of course, I wish you had read twice as long, because I just love hearing you, but terrific. But you read about 15 minutes longer than the last time you read it, Writers and Books. So we're making progress. Making progress here. All right. I am... I'm going to start us on a bit of a somber tone, and maybe move to some things that are not quite so somber. But sorry, it's been a tough year. Lost some poets, quite a few poets, and. Last weekend, Hugh Fox, who born in 1932, and terrific novelist, poet, editor of a number of prestigious magazines, helped to start the Pushcart Prize and the Cosmet Small Press Association, and so forth. And he also had this. He was my colleague at Michigan State back in the 90s, and he had this. He had. This whole other side to him in terms of working as an archaeologist in Peru and Mexico and investigating the shamanic path. So, so I'll read one for Hugh Fox. And he tells a lot about this in his novels and memoirs. The jungle has claimed our brother Hugh. The jaguar has reclaimed his kin. Long ago, before the parents of his students were born, he first ate of the thorn apples, manzanas espinosas, in the Madre de Dios. Long, long ago, before Enkidu met Gilgamesh, he was devoured by the immortal jaguar and became a shadow. Back in East Lansing, surrounded by football fans and ivy-draped halls, he discovered America has neither thought nor language for his experience. Far from the Atacama Desert, far from the white Cusco maize and purple potatoes of the Urubamba Valley, back in the flatlands of Monsanto, GMO, corn, and tasteless spuds. Here, too, the echoes, Indians said, where the Red Cedar River meets the Grand, the place where fat snakes basked on sun-warmed rocks. Always the echoes of another America. And that is where I met Hugh, the shaman down the hall, in drab, asbestos-lined, the drab, asbestos-lined Bessie building. So we returned to the jungle whenever possible, put it all into books, over 80 in all, put it all down for some archaeologists to find and republish at a time when people relearn to read. The jungle has claimed our brother Hugh. The jaguar has reclaimed his kin. Yeah. And then, we just staying somber here. We just went through, an anniversary that we'd rather have not remembered, but sometimes we have to. And this is called Just Another 9/11/11 poem. Roar of planes overhead this September morning, same blue skies as 10 years ago, same puffs of white cloud, thunder in the distance, not man-made this time, no TV news echoing from every house. Then I was married and living on a lake and didn't have tenure, and my one poetry chapbook was out of print, but I was happy to have moved to a new rental on east side of lake and to have new career possibilities. And the games, anniversaries, make possible. As if there were any actual linkage between then and now, an accident of number, whatever that signifies. Or as if I'm the same person who watched the Today Show one morning for guest appearance of Harry Belafonte about his musical anthology, The Long Road to Freedom, canceled by what we all know happened. Or the same person who endured a decade of reruns of plane hitting tower, plane intersecting tower, plane knifing through tower, oh my God, it's coming down, oh my God, it's coming down, how many people are in there, it's also unreal, let's see that footage again, plane tower, first there is a plane and a tower, then no plane, then no tower. Or the same country which endured a decade of war and fear and manipulation and found itself broke and naked, still unsure who to trust after the continent had run off with all its gold and sold its mountains' majesty and Arctic refuges and Gulf Stream waters and shipped off mothers and fathers tour after tour after tour, no matter how many babes at home, and put the Constitution and the Bill of Rights along with Tom Jefferson and Tom Paine and Abe Lincoln and Martin and Bobby and John Lennon in a specially sealed cargo plane, then renditioned them to first Syria, then Egypt, then Libya for special treatment beyond anything we could do to them quasi-legally in Gitmo. And the follow-up to that, the day after the day, 10 years after. The day after 9/11/11, and we're all thankful no more towers went down. Thankful no trains or buses exploded. Thankful for no sabotage of chemical plant in Jersey or nuclear plant in Ohio, though there is that report of fire at one in France. Otherwise, just the hangover from one too many 9/11 commemorative concert or vigil or ceremony or TV special. Otherwise, just an ordinary day. Suicide bombing in Afghanistan, scores burned to death in Nairobi, slum pipeline explosion, estimated 4,000 children starved to death, how many contracted AIDS, the stock market continues its slide. The rich might have to cut back and buy just one island or Greek antiquities site this year. All right, I think I'm going to change the tone a little with two other new poems, and then I'll get to some of those books. And okay. All right, so this is called The Problem with Facebook. So these are two social media poems. The problem with Facebook, can you still see me if I move up here? Okay. So, like, imagine you live in a village somewhere on the face of the planet, say, somewhere between the last ice age and the dawn of the digital age. And suppose you walked out of your hut or cottage or teepee or whatever each morning real early, came back from the fields or from hunting and gathering or selling stuff you'd made at the local marketplace. And each time you passed a fellow villager, related or not, you'd smile, say a kindly word, and maybe over the course of a week you'd encounter just about everyone who wasn't bedridden or gone from the village for some reason. And maybe that would be 70 people or 100. And I've got, at the moment, and surely more by the time you read this, 603 friends, each of whom I know intimately and care for deeply. And apologies to the Facebook friends in the audience. All right, and this is an online dating thing, of course, as another aspect of social media. So, you know, you can get all kinds of graduate degrees in social media at RIT. There's my RIT plug. All right, this is called Dancing. You can see me, the camera thing's okay, right? Dancing One's Inner Animal. In her match profile, Cupida asks for a man who can still dance his inner animal. A friend asks women he meets at bars to name the animal they'd most wish to be. Surprisingly, he gets responses. And not slapped. Ocelot zebra, gazelle, puppy dog, tigress, cobra. In Joanne's Qigong class, we practice Ren Wu Zhong, 5 animals protection meditation. Blue-black turtle, water north guarding one's kidneys and back. Yellow phoenix, earth center protecting the spleen. Green dragon, wood east at the liver's side. White tiger, metal west guarding the lungs. Red phoenix, fire south, leading the heart's course straight ahead. Indian friends invoke their animal totems. Bear, beaver, buffalo, deer, red hawk, coyote, the trickster. Every Saturday night, couples on the dance floor try to banish workaday selves, reverse civilization and its discontents, uncage inner animals, do the fantastic fandango. Then afterwards, in parked cars, secluded beaches, motels, or home in bed, they do the beast with 2 backs, shimmy shammy, good golly, Miss Molly O'Rooney. Then wait to make coffee, clean the litter pan, get the kids off to practice, pay the bills. Some say love is an endangered species. I say love has always been rara avis. Bird playing, ornithology, Ella singing How High the Moon, Billy moaning what a little moonlight can do, Patsy walking after midnight, Johnny Cash walking the line, Piaf warbling the hymn à l'amour. Poets pilfer like mockingbirds. Lovers crave songs of unrequited love. Always the circulation of animal heat, always frisson. Always the sounds go round and round, orbiting orifices of Orpheus' flute, Cocopelli's flute, dancing animals and shamans from cave walls forward. All right, I'm going to move to an older poem from the Canisius book. I lived on Canisius Lake for 7 years. Is it better back here or up close?
For the camera, it's better back there.
It's better back here for the camera. Okay, well, I'll go back and...
If you don't want them to see your face, then it's perfect.
Oh, okay, well, that might be okay, too.
Well, we can smell you better when you're close.
Thanks, Dick. All right, so I want to do I'll do 2 poems from this book. First, I moved to Canisius Lake, and it was this time of year. I was went there first right around this time of year, and then moved right at 1st of October. And come from, I was unemployed at the time, having not gotten tenure at Michigan State. So it's called Dragon and Tiger. Brushing our senior cat, Miss Emily, 17 years and so regal, remarkably limber still. Tai Chi masters all, walk like a cat, admonished Wu Yu Zhang. Their vertebrae, taut coils, always ready to spring. The chin, internal strength, is stored, having a surplus by means of the curved. Indigo stripes on Silver Tabby's back, power ripples wave upon wave across Silver Lake before me as I write, the tiger in the distance, the dragon at my back. We walked up Boer Hill the other day, climbing the dragon's back, not easy but perfect, autumn afternoon road between cornfields, or walking backwards up the steep grade, crimson-ringed, Canisius, unperturbed majesty. And 2, bare silk, western lake, Maja landscape, or shrouded Samhain setting, though urban poets will try, my attempt to see Lake Chimera in insurance company parking lot. Now, 42, no conquest to brag. Did Columbus boast to cellmates? No Dragon Mountain in sight here in Seneca Country, Cottonwood Cove, Canisius Lake, Geneseo, New York. Canisius, a name I don't yet know. But saw a remarkable man, Chun Tzu, yesterday in Buffalo. 70 remarkable years, a fulcrum still moving the world. That would be Bach, really. I drink from my mug labeled Coffea, Under painted berry clusters, white-fringed yellow stamen stars, and green drapery, cursory script on back from the Arabic kave, meaning wine, so good to pet a cat. And one more from this book, and that's that is called Duck Soup. You might remember the Marx Brothers movie of that. I just had a conversation with somebody about the meaning of the word charlatan, which one etymology says that it comes from duck quacks or something. French ducks quack. Anyway, Kitty can tell us about that. Okay. Anyway, duck soup. Most professional the ducks on our neighbor's dock, strutting and preening, asserting ipso facto hoc et ille indisputably. What was Donald's uncle called, Herr Professor von Duck? At least they die for fish not favors, spend relatively little time cleaning each other's tail feathers. Quack, 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 quack go the spondaic couplets, a libation for the lake gods. So dim the horizon today, dim on white as Beckett might, does the derisive strain in Irish humor derive from poverty or the sodden clime? We had that a week or so ago. One finds God in the fog of Glendalough or Loch Derg, or one finds nothing at all. All materia the senses can need absent, existence unmediated except by quackings, the foul fleed. Tell me, you ancient watery bards, is too early for a hot whiskey. And move to the Topicali's book, which was 2008, which were more, kind of political things and so forth, timely things, which unfortunately many of which are still timely. And yeah, since I alluded to that in the newer poem, I'm going to go back to this one that's called The Long Road to Freedom. Morning of 9/11, my day off, perfectly lazy, late summer day, sky of cyanide blue, a few wispy clouds reflected in the lake view from my porch. Turn attention to the TV, Harry Belafonte on the Today Show discussing musical anthology, The Long Road to Freedom, recorded in 1961 and 1971, chronicling 400 years of African-American music. 40 years in the making, forgotten in an instant. And so that was the backstory on that one. And another one, just ahead. Yeah, well, I guess I always do this one for my dad, so it's called Lucky. It's 1955, I'm being rocked in my cradle, my father's on the road, driving the highways and byways of Connecticut for the American Tobacco Company. 4 decades later, he'll succumb to emphysema in what's left of his lungs after the cancer surgery. But right now he's tanned and young, energetically setting up the Camel's Display flower pasting Lucky Strike decals on the windows of package stores and general stores and grocery stores in Goshen, Hebron, Pomfret, Scotland, Norfolk, Cornwall, Coventry, Norwalk, New Canaan, New Milford, Norwich Town, Deep River. This morning he's sitting at a lunch counter in some pharmacy in some hamlet too small for a Woolworth's. My dad's got a cup of coffee, a donut, a cigarette, a triad that was a constant in his life, matched only by my mom and morning communion. I would create, if I could, a world where such pleasures are non-lethal. Picture him outside on a sunny September day, leaning against a wooden post, examining his work with a satisfied eye, and enjoying one more Lucky. Morning stretches out and around the elm-draped bend, and the road that goes on, the road that goes on, the road that goes on forever. And there's something here that I want to read. Yeah, this the one for just random. So a poem called "Children of the Rock." Dale Davis was going to be here, but she couldn't make it. She had another meeting. But "Children of the Rock" for Dale Davis and Janine Pommy Vega. Dolomite dreams. It's hard to chisel your way out of the rock, says teenage inmate poet. He's not just talking about jail, but the whole hood they call the Rock, short for Rochester. A rock too big for Michelangelo, too big for Sisyphus, definitely too big for these orange jumpsuited, orange sneakered youths reciting their poems about moms on crack, moms on junk, streets on fire, with temptations too big for someone without a home or a job or any way to get recognition except with a gun. Why I Hate the World, reads one boy's, because where was the world when I was sleeping in bus stations? Dolomite dreams can turn to dynamite dreams, usually just dolor, 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 and the hunt for what Thule calls the Yankee dollar, always a hunt for the Yankee dollar. We're on the ground level of a two-tiered cell block that looks suspiciously like the set for Elvis' Jailhouse Rock. I'm on the left aisle of the cafeteria alongside 20 academics and philanthropists. On the right side are about 50 boys, and in front another dozen who will read their works in turn, introduced by beats from a DJ and emceed by the visiting HBO Def Poetry Jam star. Afterwards, they dole out lemonade in small cartons to inmates and guests alike. Elderly white ladies give the boys hugs and congratulate them on their performance. Then it's up the stairs and back to their cells for more Dolomite dreams. But we get to leave through the exit tunnel to sunshine, and thence to a reception in the burbs, with wine and 3 types of cake, deep chocolate, lemon chiffon, and Italian cream with strawberries. Okay, moving to the to Road Ghosts, the newer one. Which the first 2 books of Michael Zarnecki, Foothills, wonderful publisher down near Bath. It's going to be a great reading there Saturday. Talk to me if you're interested. Poet from Montana and Pennsylvania, up on a mountain. It's wonderful, beautiful. Anyway, and the new book is Steve Till's over in Palmyra, new press called Think Books, and really pleased with that. Another RIT student did the cover, former alumni, Sean McManus, and anyway, so these are, it starts out, this kind of, the first half of the book are sort of my memoir of the 60s, or what I can remember of it anyway. And then second part, I guess, is a sort of the Bardic Road, so the poems about poetry in a way. So, and I think Nick actually, let's see. I'll start. I just got back from a conference in Albuquerque, so I read some of those, and I think I will. I'll start with the poem "Pit Stop Pikes Peak," which is about getting arrested for hitchhiking in Colorado, 1971, and. The only name you know, Joseph Hillstrom, known as the IWW songwriter and organizer Joe Hill, who was executed by firing squad in Utah. And the only other name, Dorothy Day, the great Catholic worker organizer. Pikes Peak of Reader's Digest. I leafed through every page of every issue during that weekend in Colorado Springs County lockup. There for hitchhiking with no ID. Gave my name as Joseph Hillstrom. Time stretched out like a stack of dental hygiene magazines browsed while waiting for a root canal. And 3 days would have been 30, but for kindness of strangers, 2 of Dorothy Day's disciples, who paid my fine, and I thank them to this day. The Reader's Digest proved indigestible, so I shat them out and said farewell to the great state of Colorado and hello to New Mexico, because I wouldn't be caught dead in Utah. Supposedly Joe Hill's last line, yeah. One of his last lines, along with "Don't Mourn for Me, Organize." And then Nick, I think, requested me that I read the Cowboy Days, which is this is the only thing. This actually found a manuscript with the kind of prose manuscript memoir thing that I'd written back in like 1975, and sent it to Michael Rothenberg at Big Bridge Magazine. I said, "Hey," who was also publishing projects, and I said, "Wow, I really like this one." And you know, maybe I should just publish it unedited. And he says, Think again. Thanks. Well, that's what friends are for. So I ended up with a much more compressed version of it and toned down the fake cowboy lingo and so forth. So, oh, I need my hat for this one. We'll do this. We'll do the Southwest thing. Right? Okay. So we got the cowboy days, and and it's a prose poem if I can find it.
This image is burned into my retina.
All right. Mid-May of a cold spring, down off the Colorado plateau, sleeping in the desert, thin blanket near freezing, welcome to the Southwest. That chill New Mexico soil was dear to me, though. It meant I was free of Colorado cops. Rode into Albuquerque expecting to stay just a day or so, bum up some food money. Ended up staying the longest month and a half of my life. Thanked the driver goodbye, helped the other hitchhikers grab the gear I lacked, stepped onto the pavement. Looked into the sun, closed my eyes, feeling so good, open to a blur of blue and white and other colors, turned and saw the dark greens of Yale Park, adobe tans of the university, real easy, laid-back Siestaville, lying warm under great southwestern sun, wandered up the street and through hippie craft shops I couldn't afford, smelled that deep leather and soared right into a Zane Grey zone. Sat in a more or less perfect square across Route 66 from Yale Park, a little oblong of grass and here and there trees and here and now people. Everybody saying what a sleepy and mellow town this was. I was lucky to be in out of the desert and mountains, but beware, it's hard to leave. Nobody noticing the oily rags in the wastebasket already smoldering. Sam, why don't you sit down? Is there a seat over there? There's a seat over there. Yeah, grab a seat. Hey, Jane, come on. Sneak in. Yeah. Good. Yeah, grab a seat in there. Okay, good. Okay, so that's how I get to Albuquerque. Second or third day, fiesta on campus, Mexican music and food, Anglo rock bands, every demographic melting into the pot smoke and crowd camaraderie. Back at the park, commerce means buying and trading all kinds of substances, all kinds of costumed characters, the gun-toting turquoise prospector a la Bogart, truck equipped with cabin and sail, the wiry coke freak rumored to be CIA agent investigating arms smuggling, reportedly found on the outskirts of town a few months later, bullet to the head. The space cowboys recreating the Western movie under acid-tinged eyelids. The ex-biker who said he'd been at Chocolate George's funeral in famous photo of hundreds of bikes roaring up San Francisco Hill. Rattlesnake, the name of a big 6'4" cowboy with a long scar and longer knife. Got the name because he used to eat the critters. Really a gentle sort deep down. But how far down? I may be confusing two cowboys. One was a big, gentle journeyman carpenter who'd rather journey than carpenter. The other was a nasty, backstabbing, womanizing bear of a man. Then again, could be the same man. Soon discovered things were balanced pretty evenly between the 60s brothers and sisters philosophy and the hobo or street cynicism of help yourself to the sucker shit. Even the latter had some loyalty to pals, but not unconditionally. As well as cowboys, there were settlers. The settlers were in Taos. The cowboys were in Albuquerque. Met a few settlers coming through in a pickup truck or some sort of uncovered wagon, their baby and their little boy all smiles and real dignity despite their poverty. They looked to have determination and gentleness and an ability to endure hardship, all those qualities one needs to coax the earth for a livelihood. I admired them and felt they were relations of mine, but I would remain a cowboy, although a greenhorn one. It was the ancient division between the stayers and the wanderers, the farmer and the herdsman, the growers and the hunters. We were on opposite sides of the range fence. And that's what I got there. And I guess sort of what I did. What did I do? Called Song of the Panhandler. There's a better day a-comin', gotta be a better day a-comin'. We're all praying for a better day, hoping for a better day, singing for a better day, wondering why that better day's so long in coming. Need to believe in that better day. Maybe when the revolution comes, brother, maybe when the millennium comes, sister, maybe when we hijack that starship and move to a new galaxy, maybe when the war ends, maybe when they stop killing our leaders, maybe when the cops stop hassling us for panhandling and having long hair. Maybe when I can buy what I need with my good looks. Maybe when there's liberty and justice for all. Maybe when the climate suits my clothes. Maybe when my crotch stops itching. Maybe when Nixon goes away. Maybe when they free John Sinclair. Maybe when the song comes around on the old guitar. Maybe when they build a perpetual motion machine. Maybe when the aliens land. Maybe when the dolphins talk. Maybe when Jimmy and Janice return. Maybe when you stop and listen to me for once. Maybe when the poets aren't scorned. Maybe it's already here. Maybe it's already there in your heart, man. Maybe all you need to do is reach down deep in your pockets, buy a poetry book. Yes, indeed, there's a better day a-comin', but until then, buddy, can you spare a dime? A quarter would do nicely. That was pre-inflation. And yeah, it's a nice one. Strawberry Lake 1972. A gathering of the tribes, first Rainbow Peoples Gathering, Rocky Mountain National Park. State troopers block the buses, force us to walk 10 miles to the park. Then a mile straight up, someone plays Uncle John's band to ease our aching feet. It's the same story the crow told me. It's the only one he knows. Like the morning sun you come, and like the wind you go. First time I've stood naked on a mountainside chanting with 10,000 people. Long descent from Strawberry Lake, handwritten sign tacked to a tree, incredible string band lyric, may the long time sun shine on you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way home. So that's kind of like the idyllic side. But you know, I think truth in advertising is one's called Brother's Keeper. Peeking on acid in men's room of Esso Station, Route 66. Dude I barely know shooting up coke and LSD combo asked me to tighten the tourniquet. I freak when he splatters blood from hypodermic on the bathroom wall. All becomes one dark stain, the universe a blood black hole. Minutes later or hours I come to, he's returned guilt-ridden for running away, leaving me perhaps for dead. A good Samaritan, after all. And I'm going to do one from the later on in the sort of poetry section here. And this is kind of yeah, you know, I'm going to do this, and kind of carries on with, since I started with the Hugh Fox, and then I'll do this, and then I'll just do a couple of from the new series, on the continuing saga of Joe the Poet, who's this fictional character. So since I started with Hugh and the whole kind of shamanic thing, this is a book, this is a poem about reading a book of poems, or essay. And it's based on Edgar Bilowitz's American Indians fascicle, Institute of Further Studies, something that came out of Charles Olson's classes in Buffalo. All right, and there's a quote from Bilowitz, who was an anthropologist. He still lives in Albuquerque, Santa Fe. And so there's a quote from him: "The snake flowed upstream, peacefully and silently, and peace filled the air. The abiding trees, peace filled the river, and the effortlessly gliding snake. We watched unmoving as the reptile approached, and peace flowed through us, like the snake effortless and unhurried, a water snake steady in the wavering current, weaving unerringly toward us as veins twist unerringly through the body's tissues towards their destination, the heart. That diamondback rattlesnake who spoke to me when I was about to pitch my tent on it Later that same evening, 1975, on North Padre Island, when a stranger gave me peyote. That same night on Padre Island, when the stars exploded and I wandered, lost in dunes, lost in ruins, guided in friendship by a stranger and a rattlesnake. That fuzzy yellow caterpillar scurrying past me on the picnic table right now. That same yellow caterpillar climbing over my laptop that afternoon long ago when strangers Bonnie and Sebastian gave me organic mescaline for free because it was my first time and the sun was a Roman candle behind Washington's obelisk. This afternoon, as Michael Zernecki has heart surgery and there'll be no poetry on Wheeler Hill this Sunday, and I won't get to see Carolyn and Chapin and Grayson and my other friends, including Susan, who told me recently I should pop some peyote buttons and stop going so Western male when I quoted Olson and Aristotle. This moment when I can't stop laughing at my new friend, the intrepid caterpillar climbing to the top of the laptop Matterhorn. The next moment when I think of so many Americans dying because of poor health care and political posturing and stop laughing. This next moment when I'm distracted by the rights of the lawnmower and decide to go inside. This next moment when I think that I really should be discussing Bilowitz's fascicle. It's the next moment or a few moments later when I open the book to the painted face and body of the masked Cora dancer in Semana Santa Peyote Ritual 1970, the fierce teeth of his animal headdress, the altar boy solemnity of the Huichol Peyotero, Jalisco, Mexico, 1971, the photo negative of La Candone woman emitting shamanic power that closes the book. The book opens at random. 2 jaguars did not stalk us even during their appointed rounds. The book opens by Virgilian Lot at a blank page. Let's try that again. The book opens at the same page as before, so we travel ever more ever more slowly. The jungle grew thicker and darker. The sky never showed through it all. The stars were not seen. The poem becomes more impenetrable, the moment more precarious, the aleatory more fraudulent, the caterpillar more sinister than Alice's, more like Blake's. I have said to the worm, thou art my mother and my sister. Edgar dreams of a high dead desert rocky valley with a dead lake in the center. Crocodiles fill the lake. The crocodiles were hungry, omnivorous but not threatening. A few lines down, the feeling was that I would inevitably be next to sustain their untiring, vigilant hunger. Last Sunday morning, my old cat Zoe fell off the deck railing, landed in the garden 15 feet down without a scratch, but with a look of surprise, walking up the hill with that unhurried amplitude my friend Larry says characterizes the aging. And just a couple from this character who pops up different places, and we'll call it a day. Did I see Mrs. Eckerson come in somewhere? No? Yes? Maybe could you do one more poem for your mom?
Want me to repeat one?
Yeah, repeat one. I think you need to do that. Okay. And so I'll just do, these are little 10-line poems, and Joe pops up different places in history. Joe the poet in Montana. Joe's camping under big sky, reaches up and squeezes some star juice for his cowboy coffee, hums a little tune he learned back in his seafaring days, the one about Sir Patrick Spens, learned it from his shipmate Sinbad, then composes a little ditty, the ballad of Skin the Goat. Joe takes off his boots and unpacks his bedroll, checks for scorpions, lies awake a century or two just watching the bloomin' stars. And let's see, Joe in Ireland. After visiting the grave of O'Sheen and leaving there 3 hawthorn berries, a tin of smoked salmon, and a penciled poem, and after sleeping 6 nights on the brow of fairy forts and a 7th under Thor Balali's parapet, illumined by a midsummer moon, Joe descends to the cool damp of a pub's beer cellar, where he will refuse all food and drink till he composes in the mind's eye 100 necessary lines. And I'm going to end with the one, Joe the poet in academia, and since many of us have been in that position and so forth. Joe's office is down at the end of the hall, or maybe in the basement. Used to be a Quonset hut, surrounded by unmown grass and candy wrappers. Joe keeps the office door closed, plays Sun Ra, Buell Kazee, and Harry Parch LPs real loud. Joe never attends department meetings. Students think he's the janitor. In 500 years, a vellum broadside of one poem from his 1,000-page epic will be the only surviving relic of our civilization. Beg your indulgence.